All right, so let's talk about I'm missing 1 0 here, right? Loop in 4.2. So we want to talk about this code, how to write a diamond shape. Okay. For that's your class exercise, right? So before we look at the code, how would you do it? Yeah, how would you do it? Let's talk about basic first. So I'm going to open this in Android, right? Yeah, for extra credit, right? It's the same thing, right? It's just bring that function and put into under on click, that's it, right? We just make a button called diamond. This is the button, right? So that whole code technically just fill in here, right? And modify the set text to display. Like for example, you better run this code. This is a diamond. So let me actually run, right click, run the diamond. So I got the image, right? So how it works is pretty much just iterate, right? Like this is going to be 1 to 10, increment by 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like it's pretty much 9 times because less than 10, right? So pretty much just print 9 rows, right? And it's going to print. So you may see we have nested loop. First one, print the spaces. These are the spaces that's going to print, right? And then it's just keep printing when it's just create j equal to 0, j less than 9 minus I divided by 2. So I divided by 2, what's I? I at this point is going to be 1. 1 divided by 2 is going to be 0. So that means it's going to do print the space about 9 times, right? So you may start to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So that what it's going to do is print the space 9 times. And then this one taking care of print the asterisk. They print the asterisk when j equal to 0 and j less than I, right? And I at this point is 1 because it's the first. So technically the algorithm is when you print the first line, we print 1 asterisk. So that's why I said, okay, so you just limit by I, 1 asterisk. That's print 1 asterisk. And once you're done, you just end, you go a new line, right? So this is new line. So we start the second row. Makes sense? So second row pretty much technically go back because loop is not end. So we start at I now increment by, is increment I by 2. So technically we're doing that, meaning that it's actually printing the top part. because it increment by 2, right? So now I becomes 3, right? So when I becomes 3, it's going to start to print the spaces, which is 3 divided by 2 is what? Technically, why we divide? Because we only print half, right? That's why we divide by 2. 3 divided by 2, we get 1. 9 subtract 1, we get 8, right? So it's pretty much technically when you go to this, it's going to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces, right? And then since I now is 3, that's why we have to increment by 2 too, because then it's going to be 2 plus 1, right? I mean I is 3. There's going to print asterisk 3 times too, right there, and then go new line. That makes sense? So you keep repeating the same thing over and over again until it get to, so next round is going to be what, 5, so it's going to print 5. So technically reduce this number of spaces because it's limited by minus I divided by 2, and increment the asterisk from this guy, and then the next line is going to be 7, right? 7 still less than 10. And then 9, so this is pretty much the 9 one, right? And then increment by 2, then no more, because 11 is no longer, right? Then we exit the first loop. So first loop pretty much just do the printing that triangle shape, right? The top part. Now we try to print the bottom part, right? So how to print the bottom part? So now since we already print that, then we only need what, 7, right? So we do the same thing, we just do reverse order, right? So we just say, okay, starting from I equals to 7, and then I greater than 0, then we just decrement by 2. So we are going to decrement by 2. So we are going to print the spaces first. So 9 minus 7 is 2. 7 divided by 2 first, right? 7 divided by 2 is 3. Then 9 minus 3 is 3. So it's going to print the spaces first, right? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, because 9 minus 3 is 6. I'm sorry, right? So it's print the 6 spaces. And then it start to print the asterisk, which is 7 asterisk, which is this guy. And then do the same, go a new line. And then subtract 7 by 2. So it's going to be 5. Same thing. 5 divided by 2, we get 4. Then 9 minus 5, we get 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 second, I got 7 here, right? So 5 divided by 2, we get what? Yeah, 2. That's why we get 7, right? 9 minus 2 is 7. And then 7 spaces, and then 5 stars, right? And then go new line. And then subtract 5 by 2 because of this. Then we get 3. So 3 divided by 2, what do you get? 1. 9 minus 1 is 8. So we print 8 spaces. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we print 3 asterisk because now I is 3, right? And then same new line. New line, then 3 subtract by 2, get 1. So technically we print 9, right? Because 1 divided by 2 is 0, right? Print 9 spaces and then print 1 asterisk, and then we're done. Alright, so the first part is for the top triangle, and the bottom part is the other upside down triangle here, right? So now, I mean, the challenge is just like how to think out how to do this. When someone already did it, then it's very much easy when you read it to understand, right? So it's always hard to get started. So that's why you should start to do it before you really look at the answer. I know the answer can be easily found, but if you learn how to look at the answer first, then your brain is not going to be developed. Right. So that's the point of this class. I want you to think in terms of like how you're going to write out the algorithm to do this. So now we're going to apply that to the Android applications. So we learn about the methods, which is the next section. So we got to cover 4.2 and 5.1, right? So what's the methods? You guys learned already in math, which is a function. So this is pretty much a method in Java. So this is a method named h of x. So method named h, right? So what does this method do? Will give you the exponents of x to the 10, right? The answer of that. And how about method named f, or in math just function f of x, y. So find the sum of x and y, right? So how about g of x and y and z? It's going to find the square root of x plus absolute y and exponents, right? Z to the y and sum, right? Of it. So you're going to write an application to create all of these functions or the methods, okay? Now let's talk about, like for example, if I want to create a method to draw the diamond, I can just call draw diamond. So make a method just like a function, right? You can just name it f of x or the whole name here with parentheses, right? Now you just create a method by just type private static void draw diamond, just like private static void main. You already learned one method, which is main. Right, so technically the same thing. You just move your code in there, and then it's going to run this. Is the same thing. You just call the method. See that? So the reason we do this, then it make your code like more cleaner. Call draw diamond, and draw diamond pretty much is going to take care of the logic here. Second, you can reuse this one. Like now I can technically use this draw diamond in my Android app, right? To draw the diamond on my smartphone, right? So I'm going to move this code to here, right? And I technically have a button prepared for that. So in my Android layout, I create a button named diamond right there, right? So in the code, I just refer to it by using file view by ID, if you remember, right? File view by ID r.id diamond button, which is that. I call the diamond button, right? So now this diamond button pretty much just, like technically I have so many buttons like odd, factorial, Fibonacci, right? So technically I can just collapse. So I want to focus on diamond the button first. How do I make this to listen to user when user click on the phone on this button. It's going to say set on click listener, and then it's going to do this action. What it's going to do? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make the method, right? So let's say in my code here, I could technically go to my source. I could create a new package. Like you already learned the package, correct? When you import like scanner, right? I can technically create that package. And what's the name of the class that I try to get in here? The diamond, right? The name of the class from the previous code. Diamond.java, right? So I'm going to name it diamond. All right. So we have the diamond.java created. So if you want to create a package, you could. How to create a package? We can just type the word package, right? And normally you already know java.util, right? So we can call CSC to. Normally we just want to name like education organization level, like com.google. This is edu.nvcc, right? And my username .util, something like that, right? Like java.util, right? All right, so pretty much I have that method here. Maybe you still remember, right? Pretty much just from the code that we looked at before. And now I just need to move this into the package, meaning that it's going to create a folder, subfolder, and put it in that location. See that? All right, now I'm going to use this into my class. This is my main, right? Correct? Yes. So technically when it's on click, what I want to do, I want to set the text, right? Let's test the button first. I can set the text to say hello Tony. What's his last name?
Tony Stark.
How do you spell that?
S-T-A-R-K? R-K. Yes.
Hello Tony Stark. So today we don't have purple shirt. So technically I want to just test if the button, like when I click on it, remember this is, you just remember whenever you do the click button, just type this code. That's it, right? It's going to, and when you want it to happen, just put inside under on click method, right? This is the method, right? So when I click on it, it should say hello Tony Stark, right? But if it works, then we want to actually want it to do what? Call the diamond dot door. Now say, hey, I don't know what's diamond. You need to import this, right? Just like the way that we have to import. We import a class, it's going to write the code to import this package for you. See that? That we always import, right? So since we create a method, we just say dot what? Now you may see if you declare the method private, that's why we like to do public static void main, right? If you declare private main, the scope only valid inside this class. We have to make it public, then we have an access to it. Like now, if I do draw a diamond right there, right? That's the method. So it's going to draw the diamond right there. So if I run this again, right?
It's clear.
Hmm?
It's much more clear to understand.
Right? That's what we've been doing from the first day of class, right? Huh? Okay, let me click. Hello, Tony Stark, right? Because I make display to set the text, and that's called display, right? Because the ID for that, right? If you look back, this one I make it like I called ID display, right? And in the code, I technically just refer to here, right? File view by ID or .id display, and name it display as text view, right? And then I just set it to say hello Tony Stark. That makes sense? All right, now what's a daemon then? The daemon happen to do system.out, so it will never show on the display, right? Because you do system.out. So technically it should show on the console if I have the right window open. There you go. See that? This is like your console, like system.out. If I click again, it's going to draw that again. Look. See that? Click again, it's keep drawing, right? Because we make it to go to system.out. You read the code, right?
So why doesn't it draw on the
Phone.
phone?
Because you never set it to store the phone. Because this command is print to console, right? And this is the console here, right? So technically you need to modify this method, right? To make it draw on the phone, right? So when you create a method, think about when you learn math in function f of x, x plus 1, it will returns x like increment by 1, right? It never actually give you a result, it returns back to the one who called that function. Like now, I want it to return. Like when it's void means it's not returning. It's just make an action in there. If I want it to return, let's say I return a string, because all the asterisk are the string, right? Space asterisk, right? Then I technically, instead of system.out, I could just call it declare string like output and initialize it to empty first. And instead of system.out, I can just say what output equals, right? Equals this, right? Yes. So replace that. And you actually want to do what plus equals, right? You already understand what's plus equals, correct? You just keep concatenating the output, right?
Why don't we need parentheses?
You could put parentheses, that's fine if you like. Is that going to make you happy? Then I put parentheses. You can put any curly braces like if you want to make you happy. Even more parentheses.
Okay.
If you want. That's no problem. Okay, let's keep putting. It's just a block of code. Just like in math, you can put parentheses or omitting it, right? This is all math, right? Okay. So because it's not a function. When you have parentheses, it's the function, right? Like function has parentheses of the method, right? You don't really need it. If you want to leave it, it's fine too. It's just grouping it instead. Okay.
Return output.
Right, and then return output because it's no longer print out here, right? Now when we return output, then we can just set the display, right, to output. Now it's where do you return at the end of the method, right? Return output. All right, so now in the main, when you call, you pretty much just want to say display dot set text to this guy. Correct? Then it's going to display on the Android. Just like hello Tony Stark, right? Right now we just rerun it. And it should reload the code.
What happened? Why is it on?
You tell me what happens.
We didn't. Oh, I got it. We didn't get the spaces before it correctly.
No.
Yeah.
It leans this side.
What do you mean? Explain.
The spaces.
Cause see, you know how you said this was 9? They probably because the amount of the stars are correct. If you look at it, they've just been pushed.
Yeah.
Instead of being a diamond, it's the spaces beforehand.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what I said. You said no.
That's what I also mean.
So how do we fix it then? We don't. The only thing that we make sure you understand is you can fix it. You can talk much, but if you cannot fix it, that means you don't understand.
The question is not how you can fix it. It's what's causing the problem. So first you gotta find what's causing the problem, and then you can fix it. So let's go back to
Where you can talking like I want to build a wall. He can just keep talking what he cannot build. Right? We want to see the action instead of talking now, to see if you can perform it.
If you change the amount of, if you change the amount, would that the only thing? Like, would it have an effect, or would it still be left? If you change, if you like half all your numbers, pretty much.
We can add spaces after
So it's the fourth
aesthetics.
one. 9,
And it'll be center.
9, 11, 13. So it's off by 4 spaces. So yeah, if you would it work if you no, that one's off by 4. That'd be the same. 4, and then we got 2. So it goes
Can I try something?
4.
Okay.
I was just off by 1. So 4, 2, 1, 0.
I'm gonna do it again. Can we run it now?
Yeah, you can just run.
Ooh. Nah, it's still a little off. You on the right track, I'll leave it. Well, I'm giving you support.
Yeah.
So the only thing that's off, Ollie, is the top 2.
The top 2?
Yeah, and the bottom 2. No, it's just the first one. The first one and the bottom one. That's all. And then the middle one. No.
Can I do it?
I think it's the top. Yeah, it's just the top and bottom, Ollie.
If I do this, 11.
Yeah, try that. Yeah, man. Nice phone. Nah.
No. I did my best.
There might be an extra space on all of them now, maybe. So, does the diamonds come down here too, Professor?
No, no more, right? Because we didn't do the print.
Oh no, the top two are off, I believe. Because if you think about it,
The problem is we were using print line, right? Remember? But when I do output, I no longer use print line, right? You with me so far? Like if you look at the code,
so would you go output line?
you always, oh, you still print, okay. And then you print line at the end. New line.
The size of space is different.
When you do system that outer print,
That's what I'm trying to do.
when you print asterisk, then you print new line. So let's go new line, right? But for output, you concatenating it. You start to print spaces. So let's see if I do the output here, right? Like technically just copy this code, right? So instead of use system.out, right? We gotta do return the same concept, right? We want to print it out. Like we gotta do output, right? So we want to see, is it because of the console or the display, right? Of Android. So it looks like the display, right? Not because of this, right? So meaning that the display here, text view, maybe there's a property that gravity to right, so that's why it's always go to the right. So let's see, we remove that. All right. Okay. So let's check if we remove everything. Okay. So pretty much let me see if I set this back. See if we get the same thing back. Like it's going to be gravity to right. Right?
Yeah.
Because of this guy, right? Center vertical? What do you mean? Or center?
Ah. Gravity.
Oh.
Got it. What? So.
I mean, by default, it's center, right?
Mhm.
Looks like by default.
I think you gotta get a new phone emulator, Professor.
Can we actually tilt it?
Can you change like the phone?
Yes.
What? So you get like a Samsung Galaxy S8 or whatever? Or like the Pixel?
Phone that matters.
We can change the phone.
That's cool.
Phone the emulator.
Yeah, let's get the nicest phone.
Which one?
That's cool.
Why is it upside down?
iPhone 10?
What? We can get.
That's the Galaxy S8.
Oh, damn.
That's your just option thing. And you open your Face ID.
You can always add from here, see? You can create a
Oh,
new
what?
phone.
Damn. That's cool.
You can do on the TV too. Or wearable device.
Let's get
Or on the hologram. Or Google Glass.
Google Glasses?
Yeah, we can do on
Oh,
wearable.
wait. Oh, what?
Whoa.
What? You can do
That's
different ones.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get a new
Because
phone.
Google very much just use Android. Google Glass,
New phone for
the wearable.
Yeah.
You can just
Wait,
add.
I have to go buy this.
Just import the hardware profiles.
Before I go to my place.
So which one? I don't have the tablet, so I'm not sure which one is the best. You tell me.
Pixel XL.
Huh?
Pixel
Nexus.
XL.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah. Because that's a Google phone, so.
Hopefully we can use it.
We have a new phone
Damn.
For
You just
free.
got a really nice phone.
for free.
Yeah.
Okay, we got it.
Has unlimited photo storage. You know that, Professor? Unlimited. You can store all your YouTube videos on it.
Alright, so we understand the concept of the buttons and functions and the methods, right? And how to use the loop all together that we learned. Any questions? We learned something or we lost?
We are half and half. At least I am. So I get that there's the error, right, with the diamonds. I just don't understand why did
Try it again on the new phone.
Why
see
did
if it's different.
why did it do that? Like why?
Let's see.
What was wrong in the other
This one
code
different.
that made
Yeah.
it?
Look at it.
That's
have
fancy.
half to another diamond?
Oh,
Like why?
because this align like calculator, I make it align to the right.
Oh.
See that? I make number gravity to the right.
Okay.
That's what it means. Like I can make it to look at that number 0. You see that?
Yeah.
So our output now be centered.
Oh, so just because of the alignment, it wasn't.
Right. Or to you see that? Okay.
What if we don't click anything?
Oh, what?
Let's do the new phone.
Damn. On this one, it's a little like on this side.
Not like the other one, huh?
Yeah, and the other one was on the right side. Damn.
We can use something else. Let's see what happened.
Can you put in the coordinates for it?
Can we put into multi-line text, huh? Let's test on the toast, huh? Also, I'm gonna add that. So we name it what? Output. Let's say out. So by default it's make gravity to right, huh? Constraint left. We want to do to the bottom of. To the bottom of display. We just try to do a new layout, right? Oh, that's the edit text. Actually, I want this one, right? Not that one. Alright, so let's undo it first. To the bottom of. Oh, you want to go to the top, maybe? Let's go to the top of. Bottom. To top of. Alright, so we get that. So we want it to be left and right to the parent, so it's going to be center. And you can set the text that we pretty much see it. So that's pretty much the guy, right? Okay. Now go back to the code. So what's the ID? Let's change the ID to out. So how we gonna refer to it? We need to get the what? File view by ID, right? Mountain. We have to know what's the object, right? Edit text. Out equals to cast to edit text. File view by ID or dot ID dot out. So now we should be able to refer. I happen to put the same name. Display. So we call out display, right? We have to make it final that we can refer to because of scope of the class. So we just try to see if this one works. The one before is text view, but this is just edit text. Oh, okay. Constant top to bottom of. Constraint. You said it doesn't have this one. Layout constraint. So this is what the multi-line. I want constant bottom. Constraint bottom. constant top to bottom off. Okay, let's use that one then.
If you sleep a lot, then you get then you get like used to it.
That's right.
And you want to sleep more.
What's going on with the pencil?
So they don't have this.
Oh,
Spencer, why when people code is there all these errors? Like, does no one come up with a smart enough way to make like a code that's like foolproof? And you can just type in like do this and then it just does it.
the one universal code of.
Yeah, like then you already just say computer, make a diamond, and it just like 3 by 3.
Yeah, but then everybody could be a computer.
I think it may be possible with artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah.
Use the code in the background.
Yeah, like just how you can make like a Java class.
Not yet, but
Like you
So-
can make a code.
It's still, huh? We're still lining.
It does think.
I'm confused. Should I use if a null statement or just leave it like that?
Oh, because there's indent one at.
what?
Look, that's.
What happened? What happened?
If we can try to remove one space in front, I think that's gonna help, right?
I knew it was the spaces, Professor.
Right.
How did you do it? Just I used choice.
I mean, that's gonna be displayed on this one. It's just different.
Typing it. Click it.
So we go back to the code.
So you use Java FX, right? I don't know if it's
This guy is the one who do the spaces. How many spaces?
8. 8 minus I.
It displays what it has to display. It just doesn't pop up in a fancy.
How many spaces do you have in that in those quotes, Professor?
In this code?
No, in this quote.
I just don't want to
In the output on the code.
at least get like an 80 or an 90.
It looks right. Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Right, see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just like what we put, 9.
How about the one above it?
And then use switch case.
No, yeah, the 3. How many spaces does that one have? The 3 starters.
Java FX.
Ugly diamond.
Windows or Java FX.
So if we make it less spaces, what happen?
Let's see.
It change, right?
I swear, I
Yeah.
honestly don't have
But it's actually
I didn't do anything.
it's actually need more spaces, right? Or
Shahir could have been. Shahir could
Huh?
murder someone and nobody would actually know who did it. That's good.
all right. So I mean, I'll let you guys play around with that. Okay.
What happened if that was 8?
Hmm.
What would be the outcome if that was 8 minus I?
It won't give you the right language.
No.
Right.
Didn't you say that you were
8 minus I, right?
Yeah.
What is 8? It's gonna be less spaces, right? It should be like the same. See. But we also have
Longest line.
the design here too. That's control it.
Well, so I think actually that might work because the thing is the middle one kind of shapes how the other ones go.
It's an alignment problem. Just realign everything. Like even the first 100 odd numbers and all them are like too far to the right align. If you just
But they're all kind of connected, you know.
yeah, so if you just shift everything over this is bit,
It didn't work.
it didn't work. I don't know.
Hey, shit, man. Don't tell anything.
Because the concept of that would be like just reduce the amount of spaces.
So let's see if I can center it again.
He's Professor Ahmed, and me and Ahmed are collaborating. We're gonna create Jarvis thing. Yes.
Okay. And if I center it, technically we may not really need the spaces, huh? With the phone.
Professor, that middle line, how many spaces does that one have?
1, 2, 3, 4.
So, in this code, did we do 8 minus I or 9 minus I? Is this 8 or 9?
Actually, we actually want to do this. We want to modify this code to take in, right? That's the next step. So, and actually we taking from the edit text. Okay. Edit text is pretty much just this guy. Okay. So now let's read the code. So edit text, what do we get when we click? When we click, we technically want to read like this one, string input, right? So like for example, I should be able to modify. Let me put edit text back first. I should be able to pass an n, right, to tell how many rows, right, to the diamond here. So that means the function here or the method here can start to have the parameter, right? And then we can say less than n, right? So meaning that you can't make this relying on like a solid number 8 or 9 anymore, right? So let's say n minus 1 for now, because it was 9, right? And now, how about this? Should start from. Okay, let me just do n minus 3 for now. So what happens if I put? So that means the minimum has to be 3, right? So let's test this code first by copy this section to this and see how it's going to print out, because we know the layout this layout is fine. So I'm going to put it here.
Professor?
And we pass the n. So I'm going to do 3 rows, right? So it should do just 3, which is 1. So meaning this code has to be make it supporting 3. So when we have 3, how do we do it? So it should print how many spaces? 3. So the first one is being print, right? 1, 2. Technically it didn't do because of this, right? If we just trace the code, 3 minus 1 is what? 2 minus 1 is, actually we have 1 divided by 2 first, which is 0. 3 minus 1 is 2, so that's why it's print 2 spaces here, right? 1, 2, 1, 2. And I print 1 asterisk, correct? Now it's go back, it's going to be, oh, because increment by 2. That's why it's come to 5, right? So it's technically, it will not support something less than 3. So let's say 6. Well, it has to be odd, I think. There you go. It has to be even, right? So we can start at 6, right?
That's a lot of work to make a diamond.
Would you be able to go from not the left but the right and put a constraint on it and then put the spaces from the right so it keeps it in one exact spot?
Right. You can do whatever. Like I said, this is just an example logic. You can modify the logic, right? Like for example, do we really need these spaces?
Not really.
Right. We can actually reduce it too, right? Why we have to print like those spaces? Like those 3 extra spaces?
For it to be evil? Well, I mean,
Yeah, pretty much just logic that you have to modify and think about. But now I'm just showing you that we can take the parameters and technically you can make any sizes of the diamond now. See that? Right?
So if you wanted to make like an actual solid diamond shape, like with like not made like spaces stuff, like actual lines, is there a way of doing that?
there's always a way.
Like if you were trying to make like, let's say, I don't know, like a game or something, and you needed like a solid shape. Not
Yes, we can
Yeah.
draw the line. But this one we just want to think to make you understand how to use a loop. Yeah. That's technically this class exercise is gonna be. And how to use algorithm to make that with the loop. The control loops here. Okay. Any other questions? I'll let you guys think about the rest. Okay. So that pretty much for that class exercise, right? Look, this one also not even. You see that? The display. Is it even?
No.
Because of the display, right? Yeah. All right, so you think you can do this, x to the 10? Pretty much just use loop, right? And multiply x 10 times, right? So you're not allowed to use math class because the second part you're allowed to use math class. You're gonna do 2 of them. Like when you use math class, just do math.pow parenthesis x comma 10. So that's gonna be the answer. Okay. Any question on that one? All right. So move on. This is a sum. Should be easy, right? So you create a method, another method again, right? To do that. This one, the absolute should be easy. If you don't use, it says it's not allow you to use math class at all. So you just, but if it's negative, then you multiply by negative numbers to make it positive, right? Because that's the point of absolute, always positive, correct? And this is the same, just loop up to y time instead of 10 times, right?
So pretty much like just make a code that
For math.
for any implement, like any value we decide.
Yeah.
It'll just do those things to it.
Yes. But now you're writing your own math method, right? How about square root? It's the hardest one. Oh, it's always have one hard one. Like Fibonacci, the diamond, and now square root.
Just can't make it easy for us, Professor.
Because can make you stop thinking.
Yeah.
That's the only way to exercise your brain, right?
Learning is not memorizing facts, but the ability for the brain to think.
So how would you do square root? you pretty much just go back to the algebra book to numbers that multiply and giving you the result.
How do I turn that into a code? The question.
That's why you're in this class.
X times X times itself.
But if it's you can't do square root, what happens?
So square root of 4 is 2, right?
Yeah.
Square root of 9 is 3.
Technically, you can get it up to a certain extent, except if it's a negative or something.
Yeah, you can get it to give you a decimal, but then you
got it.
should it be able to give decimals?
At least right.
Should it be able to give like
At least right.
decimal square roots or just whole numbers?
Oh damn, yeah.
Just think about whole number first.
Just whole numbers?
Just think about that first.
Is it
How
to
would
the
you do
power
it?
of a half?
But okay, if it's power to the power of half, yeah, technically it's to the power of half, right?
Oh, that's the logic right there. We got an apple picture. That's
Now, if you thought about to the power of half,
oh yes, that was not even
but how could you do program to the power of half?
the same way you make it to the power of 10.
In the power of 10, you loop 10 times. How would you loop half time?
Ah,
Right?
yeah.
You cannot loop like 0.5 time, right? How would you loop half time?
Well, you Google it like we do with the diamond, and then
Okay, let's see if we get an answer because not all the answer get from Google, right? What is the question? Square root code.
yeah, square root code.
What would stop it from
Well,
rooting
if
at
Google,
half a
if
time?
Google can't answer it, then I don't
No,
think
wait,
it-
what would stop it from rooting at half a time?
because you can't loop half the time. You can only like you to power to do it by the power of 10. You're looping. 10.
This one use method square root, which you're not allowed.
But to loop it by a power
Right.
of half, you'd have to have like a half loop, which doesn't. How can you not loop? How can you loop something less than one?
There you go.
Not 0.
This is how you calculate square root. Use a formula here.
And plus 1 equals square root and number.
Looks like Google answer for you. So let's say we have 4 divided by 2 square root equals 2. T equals 2, right? 2 plus
Here, you could do this actually here.
4 divided by 2 again is just 2, which is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Square root is 2. While you subtract not equal to 0, is keep finding it. Yeah, because you keep finding half. You see that? Half, 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 right?
You want the code to be
Until
able
it's
to-
equivalent, which is right, yeah.
Do you want
So
the
that's
code
it.
To be able to take like user input, like whatever number they
Mhm.
put in, and
So that's it. So that's how you find the square root. See, to think out to get to this logic is not easy. You see that, right? Just like the way that we think out to get the diamond, it's not easy. That's why
or you know that equation
it's always good to start thinking about it first before you really look at the solution, right? It's just like the way that we do in the math class, right? We do,
I'm failing.
yeah. Why do you need a lot of math here? I think that's pretty much it for the 5.1. So you need any questions? And the second part should be easy. Just do all these methods: math square root, math apps, math random, math max. So technically, you're gonna create all the button here on the Android. To have all of this, we build a calculator on Android. Make sense? Because I show you how to make each button, right? Like that button. You can just change the layout to be like. Now we were using what? If you look at layout, we were using the constraint layout. You technically want to use a grid now if you want to use a table, right? Then you can put a diamond properly.
sir.
And we just need to understand how to use it. Table layout now. Table layout. Or maybe we should use, I think maybe use grid, huh? Because like grid.
But the preset gestures don't have the gestures that we need to use. Most of the preset gestures people use are for like awesome.
So this is it, right? Left top. Button 1, button 2. Layout gravity. So it's just like that. That we can organize our buttons like that way. We can do rows and column, specify location. So let's try, and they all just has to be inside the grid layout. Okay, so let's use grid layout then. All right, so we can move all the buttons into the grid layout. So we create grid layout right here.
I don't know. I don't even know what 1%. Professor, there's always more somewhere.
No, Ali, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't do that.
Or you cannot go
You
down
have
to
to
leave
leave
it.
I
mean,
Professor,
I
how
don't
do
know
people
anyway.
how do people invent programming languages? Like when someone makes a new programming language, they have to use an old programming language, right, to make that?
delete the first one.
Yeah, you're right. They have
So
to.
like Java would have had to been made like through C or something, or like C++ or something.
That's
before.
correct. Java made by C++.
What if
That's
we
right.
make a programming language? Just like a basic programming language.
Yeah, you
Could we
could.
ace the class?
You when you get to 205, you learn how to make your own.
Oh, for real?
You can make your own language. Yes. You can even build your own CPU. Pretty much just create your own computer. Yeah, in 205 I have students who build their own CPU. You will learn once you understand. It's just simple. Remember, understanding is just a key, just like the diamond shape. Hmm?
Oh, not electrical engineering? Alright, you're coming with us today.
You can make it. You can make it. You need to make it. It takes time.
You can go on a video. Everything you do. That's the seamless thing.
Working like my grandson. Oh really? You look like that?
So it looks like what?
Now get angry on grandfather.
What's up?
I haven't done PhD. I have only done masters. Double masters only.
Professor?
Mm-hmm.
So, we didn't really go deep into the subject, but if you're working on a code with a team, like you're talking about how you use Git Bash to like work on codes with teams and stuff. How exactly do you do that? Because I know you can share your code to Git Bash and like you can share your Java talking stuff. So if you're working with a team of people, you like all are on the same Git Bash account pretty much, and then each share individual pieces and then put them together and reshare. Or I don't. Is the question making sense?
Yeah. It makes sense, yeah. But now I just try to put into grid, right? Let's see. We technically need to have this first. I was planning to do this. Put one layout to another layout, right? Like grid layout inside a constraint layout. But let's see if I just have the grid layout itself first. So I'm gonna do it from the code. All right. So it looks like the line one layout. Now, by looking at this, you see we can specify how many rows and columns. Like in this case, you may start to look at the layout design. Like, yeah, by default, it's going to be like 1 rows and many columns. So we can start to say, okay, let's say how many rows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say about 8 rows, 3 columns. So you can just say Android column counts and row counts, right? And do horizontal orientation. So let's put it around here, right? So this pretty much just control the layout, right? Column. Let's say 3 columns, 5 rows for now. So 1, 2, 3 columns, right? Now what you need to do is you need to go into each button. Right, each button itself, you can organize it into location. Right, for example, I want it to look like this, so we can specify where you want it to put in exact location. Like for example, I want to put this in 0 and 0, so I don't need the layout here anymore. I change the layout, right? So column rows 1 column 1, right? So technically we want to do the same with other button, right? So in this case, I'm going to try to put it on each of this. And we can just technically change this 1, 1, right, later. We just try to do layout. Like I said, I try to create this for you. Then when you start do your application for 5.1 for extra credit, you can just use this one.
Is this another language? This page.
Oh, this is an XML. It's just a configuration file.
Oh.
What language is
XML.
that's a language?
What's the code for that?
Yeah. Extended markup language. Oh, so it's just like this. So I guess you are not understanding how to read this, right?
Yeah.
So this represents a button.
No, I knew there was a lot. I knew that Python.
Like each of this, let's look at this.
That's what I'm doing.
like now,
How do I print out the output and
now I understand what you looking where you're getting at. So like this is represent an object, like each object, like the edit text, right? Right, and this is the layout part, right? That before we use different layout, this is represent text view, and this is the layout. It's gonna say layout, right? So for example, this text view default text is 0 if you look on your right hand, right? That means this guy, right? So what I'm gonna do, I can set the layout. Like now, I create a layout like, if you look at, it's like grid like a table. So first, you need to know how many items you have, right? You have text view 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So let's say this is your layout, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make sense? So if I make it as 1 column, 7 rows, it's gonna look like that, right? I put a grid and border in there. Let me put a color. Now, this represents this whole like a table. So first one is the 0, 1, right? The second one is the diamond. See that? The third one is the hello Tony, right? Stark. If you guys see that, right? And this is odd button, diamond button, factorial button. Okay, Fibonacci. Now, since you're gonna have to do more than one button, right? Make sense? Are you all listening? You're not getting lost, right? Okay. So since we're going to do more than one button, like I was talking about, you have to find what? Absolute, right? Right? You have to find, if you look at this layout, you're not gonna be able to fit all the button. So that's why I start to make a grid layout, like make it like 2 columns now, right? Something like that, right? Or even 3 columns, right? Like that. Then I can add more button, right? Like sum button, right? And your HFX button, right? Your FFXY button, if you remember that, right? And your G of X, Y, and Z button. When you click, you get the answer out, right? Make sense? Now, how do we do this? It's technically, you want to use a grid layout. So that's why grid, this is an example of grid, right? You can add, like this one has pretty much what? I make the button, right, to go on row 1, column 2, just like coordinates, right? Right. So that's what we are planning to do. Like now I put everything on 1, that's why it's just overlapping each other right there. That makes sense? So let's say if I want to do layout according to this, 2 columns, 7 rows. So I just say 2 columns, 7 rows. So just add, just reading, right? Reading a code right there. And let's say, let's make the odd go to what? 1, 1, 4, right? Column 1, row 4, right? Right? Odd numbers, right? And let's see if I just going to start to do like this. The diamond go to what? 1, 5 factorial, 1, 6 Fibonacci, 1, 7, 1, 5. You see that it start to lay out now, right? 1, 7. See? Fibonacci, yeah, 1, 7. Hello Tony, 1, 3. Diamond, 1, 2, right? So
First you look at it and understand it's from the
1 1 1 2 1 3. All right, so if you do like column 2, it's pretty much just gonna jump to the right. Like for example, if I make it 2, layout column, we may need to specify. Let's declare. There you go. You have to increase this. All right. So I think next time we'll come back because it's time. Okay, and we learn more about the layout here. But at this point, you can just go and add more buttons. Okay, and do click off this by using this first.